Wake up in the grind, clock ticking, 20 minutes flat, freedom main handed knives built.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the 20-Minute Freedom Project. I am your host, Josh Lopez. This show is for those who want ownership, discipline, freedom, and to build a life they have always wanted, one that is earned and not handed to them. And today I want to start off a little bit differently. There's a quote that you've probably heard, some version of it before. It's attributed to Winston Churchill. And that quote is, "Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts." And I've always liked that quote, not because it sounds nice, not because it would be great to put on a motivational poster, but because it points out something deeper. It hints at the idea that success isn't a destination. It isn't a finish line. It isn't some moment where you arrive and everything is just done. And that got me thinking a little bit more about a deeper question. A question most people never really stop and answer. And that question is, what does success mean to you? Not what success means to your parents, not what it means to your friends, not what it means to your significant other. And definitely not what success looks like on Instagram, YouTube, or TikTok. What does it mean to you? Because here's the truth that doesn't get talked about enough, in my opinion. Two people can have two different outlooks on success and be wildly successful, but they live completely different lives. One person, success could be $100 million company or $1 billion empire. For another, success could be having dinner with their family every night and coaching their kids' baseball team. For one, success is private jets, boardrooms, and scale. For the other, success is freedom, flexibility, and a paid-off house. And there could be another one that is somewhere in the middle. They want both sides of that, and they try to balance both. And the part that really messes with people's heads a lot of times is that none of these people are wrong. We can argue about what is right and what's wrong in your opinion, but it doesn't mean it's right for that person. It might be right for you because you might feel some kind of social justice warrior of some kind, but the success that someone wants and is willing to work for, they are not wrong. But fundamentally, the problem is most people never actually decide which one they really want. They just start chasing. Most people never really define success for them. They inherit it. Maybe they borrow it. They absorb it from the culture, from their parents, social media, from whoever or whatever is loudest around them. And then one day they wake up and they realize something feels completely off. They're busy, they're stressed, they're exhausted. They are doing well on paper, or maybe none of the above even. But the one thing that they know is that they are not fulfilled. They're not at peace. They're not really sure why they're doing what they're doing anymore. And usually if you dig and dig and dig deep enough, you find this one thing, that they climbed a ladder, but it happened to be leaning against the wrong wall. They built a life, but it's not actually the life that they ever wanted. They might be winning at a game, but they never consciously chose which game they wanted to play. You could take, for example, that you love Monopoly, but look up one day when you thought you were playing Monopoly and realize you were playing chess. And that's a dangerous place to be because you find out that you were never playing the right game. You've endured so much pain, but it's not on the right purpose. And you're accidentally suffering in the wrong direction. That puts you through too much stress and going in the wrong direction, and that'll break most people. It'll break your spirit. It'll break your will to keep going. And it'll keep you keep playing small or wanting to give up completely in cases. There's something that a lot of people don't like to talk about because it really irks some people. Because once they think is you've made a decision on what success is for you that is no longer allowed to change. When in fact it actually probably should. There are seasons of life and there's seasons to success. One season might be build as big and fast as possible. Go all in, sacrifice, grind, push, expand, do everything possible to get where you want to get. Other seasons of life where success means stability, simplicity, maybe getting healthy, being present with your family more, protecting what matters. Just like life, it has its ups and downs. It's like a seesaw at the playground. Up and down, differing levels of where you are. You're either on the ground or you're all the way at the top. And none of these seasons are wrong. But a lot of people get stuck living in an old definition of success in a new season of life. They're still chasing the 25-year-old version of winning, while they're living in a 40-year-old body or 40-year-old responsibilities and a 40-year-old soul. I'm not saying you have to slow down. I am just saying that things change. In the realm of your body, maybe you can't do all-nighters anymore like you could in college or when you were a teenager. But you can still outrun people half your age. You can have times where you are overly tired, maybe irritable, or be wondering why nothing seems to be enough anymore. You will have that. But sometimes the problem isn't discipline or that maybe you got older. Sometimes the problem is simply that you're misaligned in some area. And that's where the operator and drifter mindset show up. Because like in previous episodes, we've talked about the drifter. The drifter never defines the success. They will chase whatever looks good, whatever pays more, whatever inspires more people or impresses people, whatever gets them the most applause, the most likes on social media, whatever feels like momentum. They live in reaction mode. The operator, on the other hand, decides that this is what winning looks like for me in this season. And then they build their life on purpose around that. They're not accidental. And they're not doing it by default or by someone else's pressure to pushing them to do something, but they do it by design. Operators don't just work hard. They work ruthlessly in a chosen direction. I can tell you from experience, I've had seasons where success meant building as big and as fast as possible. I wanted to scale. I wanted growth. I wanted to prove something. I wanted to see how far I could push. And I've also had seasons where success meant something completely different. It meant getting my feet under me. It meant stabilizing what was going on, maybe simplifying a little bit, getting rid of the excess crap in my life. It meant asking some really uncomfortable questions about what I wanted my days to look like. And I can tell you this, that if you don't define success for yourself, life, unfortunately, will define it for you. And you are most likely not going to like the version it hands you. There's a big issue that I have with social media, and the biggest issue is the fact that it distorts. We're constantly looking at everyone's highlight reel. We see the cars, we see the houses, we see the numbers, we see the exits, we see the wins, but we don't see the trade-offs. No one wants to show that because it doesn't get likes, and it doesn't bode well for their ego. And we don't see those marriages that are hanging on by a thread. We don't see the kids that barely see their dad or their mom or either parent for that matter. We don't see the health problems. We don't see the stress that they're under. And again, I am not saying that big goals are bad. I personally think that everyone should have the success that they want and are willing to push and work to achieve. It may be big, it may be small. It doesn't matter. What it means to you is what you should push for. And don't undercut yourself. And I'm definitely not talking about those people that are I hope this kind of success comes my way, filled with excuses, and I tried, but it didn't work. The reasons I didn't get it because XYZ, and hoping that the magic success fairy would show up one day and just grant their wish. And that simply is not how it works. What I'm saying is that every version of success has a price. The question is, are you consistently paying the price, or are you accidentally bleeding for it? Here's a question that changes everything, but most people like to avoid it like it's some kind of virus, or if they do ask it by chance, they answer it with such a surface level bullshit that doesn't get them any kind of actual direction. And that question is, what am I actually building this for? Not the freedom, impact, and legacy. That's surface level. I mean the real answer, the honest one, the one that shows up in your calendar, the one that shows up where you spend your time, because the brutal truth is that your calendar reflects your real definition of success. Not what you say with your words, not your intentions, your actions and what you execute on, because that truly is the definition of what you are focusing on. If you are not ruthlessly engaged in a higher purpose and to making success and making your life better and making your family's life better, then what are you doing? I personally have seen these things where people stay home, and the man's point of view here, that where if a man stays home, it doesn't matter if the wife makes more money. I think there's a whole thing of a man is meant to work and provide for their family. If they don't work and provide for their family, then what are they actually doing? They might be the best provider of and caretaker for their children. But I think that if you're a man, you should be putting in the work, providing for your family, not sitting at home taking care of the kids. I'm sure I will get some pushback saying that basically everything has changed now, and that's more a traditional outlook. That's fine and dandy. There's plenty of people that do that, and it works just fine. But if you're a man and you're not providing for your family, there's an issue. But I want to give you a practical exercise. And this is not theory. This is not some motivational bullshit. This is something that you can actually sit down and do. You might want to pause this for later, or you can come back to it and maybe screenshot it so you know where in the episode it is, so you can come back and do the exercise. Step 1, it's the 4 areas. You're going to write down 4 different headings: body and health, relationship and family, mission, work. And then you're going to write down faith, inner life, and maybe freedom. However you want to word that. Now you're going to ask yourself, if my life was truly successful, what would this area look like? And you're going to do that for every single area. What does winning look like in each of those areas? Whatever comes to mind first, that's what you write down. And don't let your inner bitch voice try to make you change it to something more reasonable. Put down what success actually means to you in each area. This is not something you're going to spread around. You might be the only one that ever looks at it. You could share it with your significant other, but you are the only one that's going to look at it. So don't write down something that is not what you truly want just because you want to make sure that you look a certain way. If that's not what you want, that's not what you write down. Step 2 is the perfect day test. And now you're going to do this. You're going to find a quiet place in your house, go to a park, sit in your car, whatever you can do to get time and space to yourself. Now close your eyes. Wait. You. Yeah, you. Your eyes aren't closed. You can choose to not do this exercise and you can half-ass it. That's your choice. But I'm not on the other side, and it's your life. Okay? All right. Now, you're going to close your eyes and you're going to imagine your life 5 years from now. Not a vacation, not a highlight day, just a normal Tuesday. You wake up. What time do you wake up? What do you do first? Who do you see? Do you have any pets? If so, is it cat, dog? What breed is it? Are your kids there? Do you have any kids? Do you have kids now? How many? Do you go to the gym? If so, when? What do you do? What kind of work do you do? How many hours are you working? When do you stop working? What does the evening look like? How much money are you making? Once you've answered all these questions, then ask yourself this question. Does the life I am currently building lead towards this day or away from it? That question will tell you a lot. It'll uncover if you actually are on path for your dream life or headed somewhere you don't want to be. In my opinion, is that if it is headed somewhere that you don't want to be, it's time to make a change so you are headed towards that dream life. Step 3, it's a trade-off question. You're going to ask yourself, what am I currently sacrificing for the version of success that I say I want? Is it time, health, relationships, peace? What is it? Then you're going to ask yourself, am I actually okay with that trade? Because if you're not, just like the last step, something needs to change. Step 4 is the gravestone test. This one's a little bit uncomfortable, but it's powerful. If someone described your life in one paragraph after you're gone, what would it say? What would you want it to say? We're not talking in net worth. We're not talking in your titles, what you accomplished in your work, or what car you drove. What actually matters, what your kids say, what your spouse says, what the people you led say, what do your friends say, the people you came in contact with in a day-to-day life, what would those people say? Now you're going to ask yourself, does my current definition of success lead to that story? Only you can answer that question. I've led you here, and I want you to take the time to actually do this. Because if you don't truly put effort into it and actually do it the way you need to, tear away all the layers of bullshit that you have and you've put up, that you hide behind. Tear those down and get brutally honest with what you want your success to be, where you want to get to, and what you want people to actually have said about you. Because we can want success. We can want the house. We can want the cars. We can want a certain amount per year in income. But ultimately, we cannot take it with us. We can set up our kids and our kids' kids for greater and greater success. But you have to remember that what is going to happen when you are not here anymore? What kind of example were you? Because everyone is watching you day in and day out, no matter how you want to look at it. And you don't get to complain about the life you're choosing. If you choose to grind, own it. If you choose simplicity, own it. If you choose growth, own it. But don't live on autopilot and call it fate. That's drifting through life. Operators don't drift. They choose their life. This is why that Churchill quote matters more than people realize. And I'm going to say it again. Success is not final. Failure is not fatal. It is the courage to continue that counts. Success is not a place that you arrive. It's a direction you choose. And sometimes the bravest thing you can do is redefining what winning looks like to you. We all want those things, as I said before, but ultimately success is not a number. It's not a car. It's not a title. It's not someone else's applause. While that feels nice, success is living in alignment with what matters to you. And that takes honesty. It takes deep reflection. And it takes courage. Because at the end of your life, you won't wish you lived someone else's definition better. You'll wish that you lived yours on purpose and executed relentlessly. This week, I'm not expecting you to change your whole life. I am asking you to just do the exercise in this episode and define what success actually means to you in this season of your life. It might change a year from now, maybe 6 months from now, maybe 3 years from now. But you're going to write that down and then ask, does my calendar reflect what I want? Because operators don't just talk about what life that they want. They go out and they build it. If this episode made you think, maybe it woke you up, changed you in some way, send it out to a friend, family member, maybe someone you care about. Maybe post it on your social media. If you haven't yet, leave a 5-star review for the show, because when you share it out and you leave a review, that's how the show grows and reaches more and more people that need it. And remember, freedom isn't found. It's built one step at a time. Maybe one of those steps is defining what success means to you. Good morning, good afternoon, or good night, and I will catch you guys on the next one.